Hello and welcome back to Tekkit. For me, it's been a bit, but for you, it'll be like no time at all. Ah, the joys of pre-recording. But yeah, I took some time away for the holidays, same with Dragon Age actually, but kind of thinking about getting back in that, but haven't yet. So I figured I would show off some of the things that I've done in between episodes, in an effort to catch myself up and also just show off what I've done so far in the series. So first things I guess I can show off is over here. This has probably come up in at least one video, but it just reminds me of a book I read recently. Because I'm at college now, all that stuff, uni, let's go. Getting that higher education or whatever, so that I can become more pompous and egotistical. But essentially, I read a book by James Scott Cawthon, I think is his name. I might be completely wrong there, which is called Seeing Like a State. And in it, I'm going to give a very trite and truncated explanation here, so citation needed and take it with a grain of salt. But essentially, the book talked about how states want people and certain things to be legible based off a perspective referred to as high modernism, which is this ideal of like applying scientific thought to everything, including like the human condition and agriculture and so on. So having all these trees in this row like this just really reminds me of it. I mean, like, even look at the map. That is like a perfect tessellated pattern. Anyhow, so I set this up to get rubber, and I have a tap on me, so I could collect it, but I'm not going to now because I've devised other ways of getting rubber, so I'm not going to worry about it. Let's see. I've also created this bridge here. I'm planning on putting another tower here later on, just as like a gateway, so people have to pass through this before entering the actual main complex. So this will remain here. Some other things on the outside, I have my crop farm still set up along with my restaurant here. This is our drainage pipe for all the toxic waste produced by my super, just horrible industrial garden. I've also set up some windmills here, which I'm quite pleased with. They serve no function as of yet, but they do look quite pretty, and they give some scale to the tower. Because if you think windmills are pretty tall, so yes, I also have my finished off water towers here, which produce power. Although these are somewhat redundant. In fact, this system is constantly full because all it charges is the stuff downstairs, which makes it a little bit redundant. Especially since this one solar panel is probably more powerful than both of these water towers put together, but that's besides the point. And this MV solar array powers everything in the tower currently, because as of yet I have yet to hook up my nuclear reactor, but we'll get to that in a bit. I have my hydroponics bay here with some solar panels in air quotes up on the roof, which is quite good. This is set up for another episode, so we won't do that just yet. But if I step inside, we can see that I have my restaurant. I talked about needing like a Panda Express or Starbucks, so this fills that role for me. If I step back here, we can see that downstairs I am collecting cookies, bread, cake, as well as this. I will set up a system to automatically get these, but for now, it doesn't work. I'm also brewing alcohol down here. I could attach a tree tap to these to stop it, but that would end the fermentation process, and I'm kind of inclined to see just how far this goes. So when I get some more progress, then I can come down here and celebrate by finally tapping into what I've created. But yeah, so this is all filtered, and as you can see, it kind of comes out down here. So if I run back upstairs, we can see that these pipes actually extend up to our second floor. So we'll see that in just a bit. But first, I'm going to actually drop down here. So as you can see, my reactor is completely off, even though I have it turned on. So what I'll do is I'll drop down, and you can see that I've actually burnt through all the nuclear reactor fuel rods, because I was running my mass fabricator up here, which has run for a long time, and I have full power. But the thing is, I wasn't charging anything with it, so I could have refueled the reactor and put some more fuel rods in there, but I didn't really see the purpose. So, because all I was doing was taking the UU matter produced by the mass fabricator out and turning it into glowstone, and then just pumping that in here to create uranium. So this is more than tripled the amount of uranium. I think I only need like 48 to fill the reactor. So this has completely tripled that. So if I wanted to refuel it, I very easily could. So once I finally have some power, like some machines to power up, this will be justified a lot more. So now let's take a trip upstairs. These pipes actually feed here because I've decided no longer to collect wheat because I noticed a backlog here. There's also a backlog of sugar and eggs, which I will sort out in another episode. But the backlog of wheat I solved by just sending it over here. So some of it goes to make bread, and some of it comes over here to make cookies. And I get the cocoa beans by actually turning cake into them, because I think that's like a fair trade. If anything, it might make the cookies sweeter. And also, I have quite the backlog of cake. So this has completely worked. Also, Rufus, still a good boy. Look at him. Adorable. Anyhow, so yeah, this floor is completely working. I got this balanced out really well now, and I have an actual entrance to it so I can survey. But as you can see, these are balanced really well. I've actually had to come in here a few times and clear it out of seeds and bone meal. Like as you can see, this one's already getting in the dire straits. So, but it's working. I'm very pleased with everything down here. If I come up here, you can see my black hole generator, which is still producing massive amounts of red matter. So that's fantastic. And that's pretty much it so far. That's what I've created so far in the series. I'm quite pleased with myself. But now, let's get into what we're working on today. So, the last thing I made, since I've been on the server, is actually this. Now, it's not the most compact that it could be, but this is just a proof of concept for myself, which is to show that I can make electrical components that don't have an EMC value by generating them. So what I'm creating here is copper and resin. Now, every resin becomes 3 rubber. There's a bit of math here. I didn't really precisely calculate it out, but in my mind, I thought, all right, copper is more expensive than resin. I can send the resin out here, make some copper, and it seems to be keeping the system pretty consistent. Although it looks like the math might be a little off because I'm getting more copper than rubber. So what I would have to do is probably just go in like here, do something like that, and then it would keep up. But as you can see, for proof of concept, this is producing a lot of copper cable, which is great because, oh, excuse me, sorry. Oh, I had dinner and now I'm very burpy. All right. But yes, it's producing a lot of copper cable because I realized that a lot of what's holding me back from making, well, from finishing off the tower and expanding further is just the crafting side of things. I no longer want to craft things by hand, so I kind of want to make it so that I can just have a way station here that produces like copper cables and refined iron, electrical circuits, like so on. So I can just sort of run down the conveyor belt as sort of Factorio style. If you have any experience with that game, highly recommend it if not. But yeah, so I'll be able to just run down the conveyor line and grab everything. And I think the final components I want to create are like solar panels and overclocker upgrades, because then I can basically just sell factories to people. And then I could just like snag some overclocker upgrades and a solar panel and just build like self-sustaining modules like this one here, which is just powered by a medium voltage solar array. And that means that basically what I can do is take my pre-existing power and what remains of the reactor downstairs and turn it into just infinite energy. And it is getting night out. But yes, I can just turn it into a fully self-replicating factory. You know, machines building other machines, which hasn't ever gone wrong in any media ever. So yeah, I'm gonna go get the materials together to build this and maybe map out some designs, and then I'll be back and I can show off how I'm gonna build just a crazy factory. In my original design plan, I wanted these to be up on the same floor as the others, but I'm thinking that for the sake of my sanity, I may actually just open up the floor a bit and place these here. So what we're gonna do is this, so that now each of these will exist as they should be. So we can have them go from like most complicated to least complicated or some other sorting mechanism. I'm so frazzled. It's because I'm tired. It's late. So what I've done is I've laid these all out like so. And then when I enter these, I could put whatever I want in them. So I could put resin in this, copper in this, so on. So I have them actually in a pre-established order according to a sort of flow chart that I made earlier. So my plan is that by opening this up, I can keep all the pipes within these two spaces. That would be the ideal. And then these can be the machines here, and then my export, so that right along this line, I can just have all of the machines that I want it to produce. Or I should say electrical components. I need it there. So I'm going to take some gray wool here, place this, and then extractor. So now, this can receive. So we'll put cobblestone transport pipes above it like so. And now, this is functional. So what we can do is open this up, put a gold transport pipe here, and a redstone torch here, and this will begin to heat up, which I'll let it build up some steam. I'm also not going to put the items in here until it's all fully done, and I realize it's nighttime, which means I'm not generating power. It's a problem. But I'm not going to put in the items until I'm fully set up with the system, because otherwise they may just pour in and create problems. So this is fully done, which means that this is collecting items as it should be. So what we need now is a wooden transport pipe here, which will collect items from it. Now, I'm not going to worry about where this is going just yet, because I want to map out where I'm going to put the copper. So, in my mind, I'm thinking I may actually be able to put it just here, because then the copper, which I will also use cobblestone for, can go in directly there, which means that this wooden transport pipe can pull out from this section. Now, this seems to make sense, so what I can do is place the chest here, and this is now receiving all the items, all the copper cables, as it should be. For this next setup, I want to start making refined iron. So what I can do is place this machine right here. That way, I can move these like so, and that's not going in here because it wants to be annoying. But since I can do this, I can now have my refined iron setup going into this exact same place. So now, what I can do, since I've given myself so much space here, this gives me the opportunity to pull refined iron out and use it for certain purposes. The first thing is just actually storing it. So what I'm going to do is attach a distribution pipe here in preparation for what I'm going to do in the future, but then attach 2 pipes there and a chest. And then I'm going to turn all the others off except for yellow. That way, it'll pull refined iron out and put it in the chest. So now we're creating copper and refined iron. So refined iron has its distribution. Copper will also need a distribution, but since the cables come out here, it has to be earlier. It has to be later on in the process, which means that this line here will be main lines for anything used in other processes. So refined iron will likely be pulled out along with a number of other things. Now we have one coming out the bottom and one out the side. Now, I was actually mistaken in saying that this wouldn't need any new materials, because it does require redstone. So we'll put this here, the wooden transport pipe. Now, redstone is going to be used in a lot of machines, I can almost guarantee it, which means that I want it to be able to get around quickly and control where it goes. So we're going to go like so. Is this going to... Unfortunately, it is going to connect, which means that I will just have to let it be slow from the start. But with this done, I'm going to make this cobblestone, then turn off all of them but yellow. So now, redstone will come out here and enter this, along with refined iron. So the last thing we need is actually the copper pipes. Copper cables, I should say. It's very hard to speak coherently when you're working on something. Okay, so now we can drag this up here, and as we can see, we now have the refined iron, the copper cables, and the redstone entering this crafting table. So what I'm going to do is actually grab 6 of the copper cables. Wow, I do have a lot of them built up. So we got 6 copper cables here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Find iron and 2 redstone. And there we go. So now the electronic circuit is set up, Should also make sure that these have redstone engines on them as well. This like so, like so. This like so, and like so. Now those are going as well. And we're now going to create tin. Now this is where that redstone is very paramount. Now tin is only used in one recipe. So what we're going to do is just lead this straight into here along with this redstone. So now 2 redstone out here along with 4 tin and a copper cable. And there we go. So now we're getting batteries. There are 2 different ways of crafting a generator. Now one of them uses cobblestone and iron, which is perfectly fine, but it requires 8 refined iron. This one just takes iron and refined iron. So what I'm thinking is that I don't have to introduce another item. So what I'm going to do is attach an automatic crafting table here and say 8 iron up for every so across. Now, it's not just 1, because we need 1 for this, but we also need 3 for this. So we're going to say 4. Because I want every component to be made once in the cycle. So for these, we don't need to worry about it. Currently, I'm not worrying about the differing amounts of each material that are produced. If I get a backlog, whatever. But for any material that produces more, I want it to only go through 1 cycle each time. Because if I put 8 and 1, this would make so many iron furnaces that nothing could keep up with the system, and it would be completely purposeless. Will this be able to link up? Oh, it might be able to just sneak through. Oh, excellent. Bingo. Okay. So now I also need to make this so that's 3. So now the refined iron will come out, and 1 will go into an electronic circuit, and we want 4 to come down. So 1 becomes a circuit, 4 go down, 3 of which go to become a generator, and 1 of which enters storage. So now we are producing generators. So bingo. So now generators will be exported right here. So let's review quickly because I'm already losing track of everything that I've created. So resin comes up, becomes rubber, enters this, along with copper, to create copper cables. Copper cables are then exported and distributed wherever they need to be. So one of them will come up here, then the others will pass along this chain to this crafting recipe. So I need to make sure that they are 6 of these being sent that way. Then iron is brought up here and turned into iron furnaces and refined iron. One of the refined iron is sent this way to become electronic circuits along with the 6 copper cables. 4 of it is sent down, 1 of which enters here, and 3 of which is sent up to become generators along this pipe. RE batteries, which are sent. Okay, RE batteries are made with redstone, tin. Okay, so yeah, this is working. All of this is as it should be. So this is probably the most convoluted segment of madness that anyone has ever watched. That was really, really well explained. I mean, oh gosh, and look, it's just a mess. But the whole thing works, and I think that's what matters. Okay, I don't know how much of this is actually going to be kept in the footage, honestly, because so much of it is just a lot of me faffing around trying to get this machine to work. I'm really glad that I checked all these things before, thinking I was done with the machine, because I'm a very smart person. Okay. We're going to do some very rapid changing here. So, oof. Oh man, it's very... Oh god. How am I supposed to get this out? Okay, because I need it to distribute. That's the thing. So it has to be able to... Okay, and then cobblestone, stone. Trust me, I'm a professional. Okay, so now this is pulling these out as it should be. Then we can do distribution pipe, stone pipe. This is actually going to work, which is crazy to think about. Okay, I would prefer not to have to do this way, but I don't think that I have a choice. Okay. Now I go like so. Bingo. Okay. So what this means, I didn't explain any of this at all, besides just the fact that it wasn't working how I wanted it to. But now, what we have, this also doesn't even need to be here anymore, is we're producing electronic circuits and sending them off in this direction. So one will be sent there, and ideally I wouldn't have to have this on this level, but it doesn't seem like I'm going to get a choice in the matter, so that sucks for me, I guess, but whatever. So this will have to do. But electronic circuits will be produced in this crafter. Then one will be sent to the chest, and two will be sent out here. Now, since this is an iron pipe, I can mix the stone and the cobblestone transport pipes. So, electronic circuit will enter here and go down, because it's the only direction it has to offer, and enter this machine here, which will then export here and create these solar panels as requested. And oh my god, this is such a big cluster of just garbage. It looks so kind of sketchy, but it's kind of fun in a way that it's like a little screwy. I'm still teaching myself how to do this stuff, so whatever. I'll tinker with this system. I've been recording for a number of time now, and I'll try and make it look a little less of a mess, although it is kind of fun. I mean, look at that. Look at that crazy machine just whirl away. Either way, hope you enjoyed. I certainly did. I had a lot of fun, even if it seems like I'm tired, because I am. Um, it's just so cool actually working with these mods, and I can't wait to see what I can do now that I have the infrastructure to power any machine that I want. So, give a like, subscribe, all that jazz if you're a fan. Otherwise, I'm done here. All right, see you.